Tuesday the 28th of April. Right, boys and girls, we're looking at adding fractions together today. So we're going to start by looking at 2 over 4. And we're going to start straight away by drawing that out. We know that it's a whole, and the denominator tells us that it's been divided into 4 equal parts. So our bar is out of 4, and the numerator, the 2 on the top, tells us we've got 1, 2 of those parts. Nice and easy to draw that out. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to add to this. Now, we're going to add onto this fraction. We're going to add 1 over 4, 1/4. Now, that looks like this, and it's really handy all the time just to sketch out these fractions. There's 1 over 4. Now, remembering I can colour any of these in to say I've got it. My whole has been divided equally into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, and I've got 1 of those parts. So I'm going to have this part here. So there's my 1/4. Now we're adding these together here. So what happens when we add something is we join them together. Okay, so I'm going to join it. I'm going to join it below to get my answer. So my answer is going to be down the bottom. So again, I just take the parts I've got and I'm going to add them together. So I've got here, my answer is going to be out of 4, because that's how many my parts are. We have to have the same denominator to do the adding, and we'll have a look at that another time as why. And I'm going to take these 2 parts and they're going to move down into here. So I'm going to take that part down to there, that part down to there. That gives me 1, 2. So I've taken those 2 parts down. Okay, I'm also going to grab this part and put that in there. So when I added them together, you can see I've now got 1, 2, 3 parts out of 4. So my answer is 3/4. So 1/4 add 2/4 equals 3/4. 3 over 4. And there's my picture to have a little look at that. If we were looking at this on a number line, which is something we can definitely do, we'd have a look at it a slightly different way. So I'm just going to rub this off so you can see what it would look like if it was on a number line. So we'd have our 2, right, remind us what we're doing. We're doing 2/4 and we're adding 1/4. And we already know the answer's 3/4. But what we're looking at here is, right, what would it look like if we did it a slightly different way when we were doing it? What would it look like if we did it a slightly different way when we were doing it? So we've got our 2/4. We know we've got here, we're going to start our number line. We know our bar is out of 4. So there's our bar. We know we've got 1, 2/4 here, and we know we've got 1/4 here, which gives us our 3/4. But what would that look like on a number line? So I'm going to draw my number line below. So line it up. So I know that there, if I start this end, is 0/4. I've then got 1/4. Oh, not 1/2, Miss Hennessy. 1/4. And it's running out. And then I've got 2/4. And then I've got 3/4. And then I've got 4/4. 4/4 we know is 1 whole. That's the whole bar. So what would that look like? The 2/4 we've done first. We do a jump of 2/4. Then we do a jump of 1/4. And it would take us to 3/4. So we've done a first jump of 1 2/4. That's that bit there, 1, 2. And then we've done our 1/4, and it's ended up at 3/4. So if we were doing this on a number line, this is what it would look like. We'd have the bar linked to it, and this is exactly how it would look. So thinking about how these might look in our books, you can see the question on the screen, and here we've got, we'll use the same question, 2/4 quarters and we're adding 1/4. We know already the answer is 3/4. Now what I'd like us to do is this answer, I want us to show how we got it. So I'm going to do my bar goes next to my answer. Again, your bar can be as long as you want, the whole bar. We know the whole bar is divided into 4 equal parts. All of these denominators match, which means we're at 4 equal parts. So I can have 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my 4 equal parts. And we've got 2 of those quarters there. So I've got 1, 2 of those quarters there. And I'm adding 1 of those quarters. So I'm adding 1/4, adding 1. How many quarters have I got altogether? I've got 1, 2, 3. Thinking about that on a number line. I'd have it laid out. Number line as long as the bar. I've got no quarters there. I've got 1/4 there. 2 quarters there. 3 quarters there. 4 quarters there. If we get that much, we know that that is 1 whole. Okay, and on my number line, I've done 1, 2. 2 quarters has gone that far. 1, 2 along my number line. And then another quarter, 1/4, has gone that far along my number line, which takes me to 3/4. So your questions today, what I'd like you to do with your layout is lay out the answer like this. Get some colours, a pen, you can write the questions as number form and then colour code it so you can see the add-in that's happened. This yellow bit stands for the 2 quarters. This 1/4, the pink one, we can see is here. Now you've got different fractions on your do it to have a go at them. And I'm not going to go through all the answers today, I'm just going to put them up on the screen for people to see how it should look. So you've got to add the fractions together. First couple have got some pictures to help you, and then the next 4, 3, 4, 5, 6 are just the fractions. I want you to draw out the answer bar for these fractions. You don't have to draw the question bar, but make sure you draw the answer bar for all these fractions, showing them being put together. And then I'd like you to pick 2 of these fractions and see if you can show it on a number line, just like I showed you in the video a couple of seconds ago. Pause it now. You can have a proper look at the questions. Right, we've got me going through the questions here. So number 1, we've got 2 out of the 4 and we're adding 1 of those quarters together. This one we've been working on already. Similar, we've been looking at quarters, so I know that that's going to be 3/4. I'm going to do my bars next to it. Now I know that this is going to be out of 4, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Try and speed up my drawing. So I've got my whole bar, it's chopped into 4 equal pieces. I know I've got 2 quarters there, so I'm having 2 quarters here. I know I've then got 1/4 here, so I've got 1/4 there, and that there you can see gives me 3/4. If I was going to do this on a number line, have it like that, I know that's 0, 1, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, which I know is a whole, and I've got again 2 quarters, so 1, 2 quarters along there, and then I've got 1 quarter on my next bit. My next question, I've already been given sort of a question here, so if I have a little look at this, I've been given a picture, so it's out of 5, and I've got 1/5 add 2/5. Now loads of us will be spotting, oh yeah, we just add the tops together, Mr. Hennessy. Brilliant. We add the tops together, the numerator, as long as these denominators are the same. If they're not the same, we can't add them together. Okay, now drawing this one out, I'm just going to have, there's the start of my bar, there's the end of my bar. I'm going to use roughly the same size bar that I used above, but this time my bar is being chopped up into, oh, pen's running out, 5 equal parts. So I'm going to say, let's have a little look, roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly equal, maybe not super equal. Let's see if we can, yeah, roughly equal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. I've got one of those fifths there. Okay, and because it's all chopped up into equal, these are fifths as well. All of these are fifths. 2 of my fifths are here. So I've got 1, I've got 2 of my fifths. And then on my number line below, I can see that that's 3/5 there. On my number line below, I'm just going to draw this out. There's my number line. I know that's 0/5. I'll get another pen in a second. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5, which again is my whole. Always useful remembering that. So I did 1/5 to start with, and then I did 2/5 pink, 1, 2/5, and it took me to 3/5 on our number line. That one was 3/4. Again, you only had to do the bar and the questions. If you did the number line as well, that's amazing. Just going to grab another pen and be back with you. Right, back with a new pen, purple pen this time, but and I've also, just to save a bit of time, already written down the questions and just drawn some bars to save a bit of time on the video. So next question, number 3, 3/5, add 1/5. I know my bar is going to be split up into 5 equal bits, so roughly, let's work out, they look equal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, again, drawing it. Tricky to get it equal, but as long as they're roughly equal, that's amazing. I know I've got 3/5. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3. We know that they're equal parts. They are the same size, equal, and because they're both fifths, we can just add them together. No worries. We slot that one in there, and there's our bar for that. And that gives us, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 fifths. 4/5. Doesn't give us the whole. If we were doing this as a number line, we'd have it below 0/5, 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. And I know that is a whole. 3/5 first, so 1, 2, 3, takes me to 3/5, and then I add on 1 more fifth, 1 more fifth, takes me there to 4/5. If you did that one on the number line, there you go. Next one, we're looking at 2, 6, add 3, 6, so I need my bar split into 6, so I'm going to go, ooh, should have measured this first. I think 6 there. Again, thinking about them, they've got to be equal parts. There we go. I've got 2/6 to start with, so 1, 2/6. There's 2/6, and then I've got 3/6. There's my 3, 6. I'll do it in pink. 1, 2, 3, 6. All the way along. That's what happens when we add them together. And what's our new fraction we've got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 parts, and it's out of the whole has been divided into 6 equal parts, and I've now got 5 of them. On a number line, it would look like this. So 6, 6, 5, 6, 4, 6, 3, 6, 2, 6, 1, 6. I know that's 0, 6. So I started off with 2, 1, 2, 6 takes me to there, and then 3, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 6 on top, and I end up, yeah, exactly the same at 5, 6. It's good to look at it at the bar and the number line, just because we never know what question we're going to be sort of asked. So 2/7 this time. So let's see, 1, roughly even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think that's 7. Just a tiny bit smaller parts than last time. So our whole has been divided into 7 equal parts this time. Same size whole here, but we can see the 7ths are just fractionally smaller, only slightly. We've got 2 of those 7ths, so 1, 2 of those 7ths there, and then we've got 5 of those 7ths on top of it. So let's have a look at what happens here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it takes me all the way to the whole. It takes me all the way to the end. So I've now got the whole bar. Okay, my bar was divided into 7 equal parts, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those parts, which you can see here means I've actually got the whole bar on our number line. We go from one end to the other. Use our ruler to line it up. We start with 0/7, we work our way along. 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 5/7, 6/7, 7/7, and we know that that is a whole bar. So I've got here my 2/7, 1, 2. I've then got my 5/7. I've got to colour it in. My 5/7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it takes us to 7 parts out of 7. So that is 7/7 is 1 whole. 7/7 is 1 whole. The whole has been divided into 7 equal parts, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those parts. Right, last one. Now, I'm not going to do a number line for this, so I squeezed it on the bottom of the page. It's into 8ths. My whole has been divided into 8 equal parts. I'm going to start by dividing it in half, and then in half again, because I know I can do it like that. Get roughly equal. I think that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my whole divided into 8 equal parts. And then I've got here, I've got 2 of them. 1, 2. And then on top of it, I've got 3 of them. 1, 2, 3/8. So here I've got, again, still out of 8, because the whole's still divided into 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. Okay, and then that's where we are. Right, have a look at the apply it, listen to the instructions, and see if you can spot it, and then move on. I'm not going to show you the apply it, I'm just going to say the answer on the page. The apply it today, boys and girls, is to explain why we can't solve this yet with what we have learnt so far on fractions. It's not what we're going to learn about in the future. I want you to explain why we can't do it with what we already know. We will, in future years, know how to do this, but at the moment we don't. So I don't want you to try and solve it. I want you to explain why we can't solve this question yet with what we know. The answer to the apply it then is that the two fractions do not have the same denominators. So the fractions haven't been divided into the same amount of equal parts. And with what we know at the moment about fractions, we cannot add them together when they've got different denominators, when they've been divided into different amounts of equal parts. Right, on the solve it today, boys and girls, you've got to figure out what numbers could go on the top of the numerator here. What numerators could we use to get a fraction that is less than a whole? So you've got to have less than a whole, and that's really important. Now, on the question on the next slide, you're not using 5, you're using 8. But you've still got to do the same thinking. So you've got to think, right, what numerator could go here and here to give me something that is less than a whole? Now we know for the whole to be full, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those parts. So we're looking for something that's less than that 5, less than the whole. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to start with 2. So there's 2/5, so I'm going to put it in yellow. 2/5 is 1, 2. So my whole here has been divided into equal parts, 5 equal parts. And I've got 2 of them. And I'm going to add something to keep it under the whole. So nice and simply, I'm actually just going to add 1/5. So I've got 1/5, there's my pink fraction. And I'm going to add 1/5 to that. And that keeps me underneath my whole. That 2/5 add 1/5 gives me 3/5. Okay? And if you wanted to, drawing it on a number line as well, I'm actually going to draw it on the other side this time. My number line nice and small here. So I know there's my whole. I've got to split it into 5 equal parts. There's my 5 equal parts. I know that is 5/5. That I know is 0/5. That is my whole. I've got 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. And I'm doing 2/5, so I do a jump of 2/5 to start with. And then another jump of 1/5 onto that, 1/5 onto that, and that takes me there to 3/5, which is less than my whole. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Right, below I'll show us one that doesn't work so we can see what we're not trying to do. So here I'm going to start with 4/5 this time. So I've got my whole, same, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4/5. Colour them all in so we can see. So there's 4/5, and I'm going to add 3/5 to this. So, I've run out of fifths. Okay, so I can't do that. I can't add them on. I've run out of those fifths. So this one, at the moment, even though we could spot that 4 and 3 might give us something here, we haven't yet gone on to doing that. So we're keeping it so it sticks underneath a whole. That's our trick that we're trying to do at the moment. Can you keep it underneath the whole bar? So underneath 5 out of 5, or in your case on the next one, underneath 8 out of 8. Go on to the next slide, and then there is listen to the instructions and then pause it and then have a go.